I'm still deeply in love with him, even though I know our relationship was toxic and nothing about it was real. He'll message me to pull me back in, then disappear without a word. How do I let go of these feelings for someone who caused so much harm? Is it possible to truly move on from an abusive relationship like this?
The first answer I want to shout from the rooftops is yes. It is possible, absolutely, to move on from a relationship like this. There are so many of us who have done it, successfully, and who can be supportive in the healing and recovery process. So absolutely, you can truly move on. Does it take time? Does it take intention? Absolutely, but it is absolutely possible. Um, and so to answer the question of how to let go of this, and he messages to pull you back in and then disappears. Narcissists thrive on chaos. They want to know, because they love power and control, they want to know that they can get a reaction from you at the push of a button, at the send of a text. They want to know that they have the power and control to pull you back in and to keep you kind of on that uncertain emotional path. And so, one thing to do to be able to recognize how you're going to move forward is to first believe that it's possible because other people have done it. And there's so many great things out there that can really be supportive and help you. And there's a great community of people that have been where you are, that understand what it's like and can be supportive and offer suggestions of what's worked for them, and like kind of walk alongside of you as you're going through your own healing journey because they've been there, so they kind of know what it looks like. Um, but the narcissist, it's important to remember that anything that you experience from the narcissist is a manipulation. It is it is not that they've changed. It is not that they've had a come to Jesus moment. And, can Jesus change them? Absolutely. But aside from that, they are not changing. And there's study after study that shows that they do not change. They're biologically different, physically different than we are. And they're not going to change. It's like, trying to drive a Ferrari that only has three wheels. Well, it looks like a Ferrari. It does. It should be capable of doing what a Ferrari can do. Sure. But it only has three wheels. A Ferrari is never going to be what a real Ferrari should be if it only has three of the four wheels. But to remind yourself anytime you have a conversation, a contact with a narcissist, is to remind yourself that anything you hear from them is pure manipulation, and to not allow yourself to buy into that false hope of maybe they're different, maybe they've changed.
One comment that also came up in a discussion recently in our community, it related to this, like why, like when it comes, like how to let go of feelings for someone who caused harm. So I think, do you think that sometimes people seem to wait that they feel quote unquote ready to move on? But what are your thoughts? Would like just taking action first, so for example, focusing on just rebuilding yourself, focusing on the future and, healing, would that actually maybe be the solution and help shift your emotions over time? So even if you don't right now feel fully ready or over it, just like say to yourself, "Oh, well, it's normal. I just have to focus on taking action first, and the emotions will follow eventually. They kind of are delayed a bit." Or what do you think?
Yes, I love the way you said that. Like, take action first and the emotions will follow. And that is exactly true. And I like to encourage my clients to to make little micro steps every day. Because really, where it starts is recognizing, oh my gosh, this is not a good relationship. This is toxic. This is abusive. This is dangerous. This is not safe. That's the first step. The second step comes in these like micro actions that we take each day. And once you've recognized that it's something that is not safe, healthy, sustainable for you, okay, then what is that first action? Is it to I often encourage writing down what the narcissist has done to you. I mean, you can write it in your phone or on a computer. I really like the handwritten pen and paper thing. The more, and we use all of our senses that way, right? Touch, you know, vision, all that stuff. And it really like impacts your mind more if you can write it down, but just get it out, get it onto a screen, paper, whatever. And then whenever you start to notice that the feelings are slipping back into wishing things could be different, read the list. Read the list of what the narcissist did to you, because there are things that, every relationship has compromises. But there are certain things that are like a hard line no, right? Like you could have, some people will say, well, I made a pros and cons list of this person and there's 10 pros and 10 cons. So it's 50-50. So I guess it's, a balanced relationship. Well, you could have 100 pros on a list of somebody being a great person, but the one con is that they're a serial killer, right? It's not about the numbers being equal. It's about how weighted the cons are. So if you can write down all of the abuses that you've experienced from this narcissist and all of the things that they've done from you, from, completely eroding your self-confidence and completely isolating you and making you, feel the worst that you've ever felt, does it really matter if they have any great qualities? Really, it doesn't, right? So writing that down, taking that first step of action, and whatever that action would be for the survivor, does it mean, would action look like, reaching out and finding a community and just anonymously kind of reading other people's stories? Would it be writing your own story and maybe never sharing it with anybody, but just getting it out? Would it be telling one person that you trust what you've been going through, right? What is that one step? Because I really look at it like a cross-country road trip, right? It's not all going to be done in one night, but every step brings you closer to where you want to be. But absolutely, like you said, taking action and the emotion will follow.
That's encouraging, like to hear, because it doesn't like feel like that when you are in
It
it.
does not.
Yeah.
No, it does
And
not.
you might feel like it will, like, I want this pain to stop, and will it ever stop? And also, um, one kind of very useful tip that I heard one person in our community, and I want to share it because I think it fits here very well. So again, still in this challenge of letting go of the feelings for someone who has harmed us so badly. So they suggested that when the relationship has ended, that we should contrast two mindsets. So the first mindset is focusing on the pain of the relationship, and the second is focusing on the lessons learned from it. And here's what they meant. So that they kind of explain it this way, that focusing on the pain keeps someone emotionally stuck in the cycle, because the pain can represent the low of the narcissistic abuse cycle, so the same cycle that existed in the relationship. So like in this comment, when the narcissist messages you, their return kind of feels like a relief or a high, because it offers temporary comfort and makes you think everything can be okay again. So then of course it's more likely that you are going to go maybe back, respond to that text, because it's offered, this relief is offered to you. But then if you so this is the first mindset. But if you start focusing on the lessons you have learned from this, it kind of shifts a bit, because then you might take act, because you're seeking understanding, you're seeking like what lessons you have learned. You might truly start to understand what you have learned, and you can maybe it's more likely that you can see logically that, okay, going back would undo my growth that I've been doing here. I might, respond to that message, or start to think that, okay, things can get better. So then you can see logically, okay, I'm craving still, my brain is still craving that relief, and I want to respond to that message. But I recognize this is just the high of the cycle. We're about to get to the high, but I'm not going to take it because I have, focused on the lessons. So I think this is just like kind of, again, there are so many tips and tricks that you can, do. And I guess the key is just try and find what works for you. But I thought it was clever, like, okay, you can see the mindset of, I'm just in pain, I want this to stop, this is awful. And like, are you able to shift it to what did I learn from this and what can I do now? So then you can maybe more easily detach from the cycle and see the relationship for what it truly was, and you are less vulnerable to the hoovering and re-entering again to the high, and then the low comes
Yeah.
eventually. So I just wanted to share this and also hear your thoughts about this.
Well, thank you for sharing that because that's so powerful what you said and what you read, because you're right. We are one of the biggest reasons that we are likely to give into any temptation, whether it's narcissism, like cheating on a diet, not working out, whatever, is because we want some relief from pain, right? We know that, okay, I have this right here. I could let the narcissist back in and it would give me some familiarity. It would give me a sense of comfort. It would give me a sense of things might be okay. And I like that perspective of, okay, focusing on the pain versus focusing on the lessons, because what we focus on, we get more of. So if you're focusing on the pain and, oh my gosh, here comes the narcissist and he or she can take that pain away, we're going to be so much more likely, like you said, to be like, oh my gosh, yes, give me all of it, right? Because we think the pain is gone. Okay, temporarily, maybe. But like you were saying, here comes the cycle. And we all know what the cycle looks like, right? The cycle does not end with the pain going away. The cycle begins with the pain going away. And so there's actually a study, and I haven't read it, but I heard about it. And it was basically where they had two groups of people who had to like complete a maze or something like that. And the one group of people, they gave them a list of all of the obstacles that they were going to face in this maze. In the other group of people, they had them focus on the outcome of being through the maze. And I don't know if like both sides didn't or both sides did make it through, but what I do know from this study is that the group that was told about the obstacles took so much longer to get through. And when you're focused on the end result, when you're focused on what you're getting by all this hard work that you're doing, right? By going no contact, by doing the therapy work, by doing the healing and the journaling and all of that stuff and taking care of yourself. When you're focused on that, you are so much more likely to keep going and not fall to the temptation of that momentary lapse of the pain and the struggle. Because I think all of us really, one of my favorite things to do, and I encourage people to do this with anything, and I use it myself, is to have kind of a mantra or kind of a phrase that's like your litmus test for when things get tough. And I always suggest create this when you're in a good place, right? Create this when you're feeling strong and you're feeling supported and the narcissist is leaving you alone. And, whether it's something like not my circus, not my monkeys, or whether it's something, Bible verse, whether it's a reminder of this person's the devil, right? Create that when you're in a good place. Because then when you're in a vulnerable place and when the narcissist wants to come back in and try to hoover you back or cause chaos or whatever, you don't have to think, oh my gosh, how do I get out of this? How do I resist it? You just go back to that mantra, right? You create a mantra that it speaks powerfully to you. And when the narcissist comes back, you don't have to think, oh my gosh, what do I do? You just have to think, where's my mantra? Right? Let me, and it could be, even a podcast or, the Bible app or a song or something. Whenever you feel vulnerable, go back to that thing, whatever it is, the mantra, the song, the Bible verse, whatever. Go back to that because you've already told your brain, hey, this keeps me where I want to be. This keeps me focused, not on the obstacles, but it keeps me focused on my end goal. And that is going to be how you empower yourself to not fall victim to the emotions, right? You're focused on the actions and the outcome.